Every now and then you get a chance to chop it up with another guy named Chris, who I met through X, probably the best social media platform in the world because they still believe in free speech. And they don't give a fuck about anything else. Chris, tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. Well, dude, I'm glad we're recording now because before we could have just chopped it up for hours. But no, I'll get my brief background, say that 10 times fast, and then we'll dive in. So if I bullet point really my life, so I'm 33, started investing when I was 10, started advising when I was 14, youngest in the world for the largest wealth management firm in the world at the time at 18, in and out in 3 years, went to the second largest at 21, hated corporate, started my practice out of my apartment at 22. You fast forward today, 22, 23, we oversee about $150 million. Average client's net worth $5 million, $500,000 minimums. But then on the brand side of things, I've got my podcast, two Amazon best-selling books, a master class, and we actually go out to businesses and I teach people how to capitalize on their sales. And then once you've made your money, I teach you how to be a steward of it and capitalize on your finances.
Are
And
you a big
so,
fan of
you know,
living trusts?
am I a fan of trusts?
Living trusts.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And let me take a step back. I'm a fan of anything that makes sense. So like living trusts or irrevocable trusts in and of itself, that in and of itself doesn't mean anything. Like it actually, you have to back into what are you actually trying to do. It's no different than when people will ask me, they'll go, "Hey, Chris, what's your take on like annuities, okay, or life insurance?" I'm not against it. I'm not for it. Like it all fits into place. Like you've got to know that these these pieces or these processes have been put into place in the world of money by some very smart people. And initially, there was a huge need and an appropriate need for all these tools. Where it gets murky is you got people that are schmucks that then try to provide this type of stuff to people. And frankly, they may or may not need it in the first place. So I know that was a very political answer,
I
but
was just
I'm
going to say, Jesus
yeah.
Christ,
Yeah.
Chris, one side or the other.
Yeah. But it honestly, it is the honest to God truth. It's like you've really got to ask yourself, like, why am I doing this with
Well,
anything?
I tell people literally the second you have a child, set them up with a living trust because
Yeah.
there's so many tax benefits, there's so many life benefits to a living trust, especially for little boys. Israel Adani or Danze or whatever the MMA fighter is, you know what I'm talking about? Israel
Yeah.
Danze.
Yeah.
He recently got divorced and his wife tried to get some of his assets.
Yeah.
They found out all of his assets are in a living trust. Not only did she not get his assets, he got 500,000 of her assets as
Yeah.
part of the divorce decree.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw that. I saw also on the flip side, it's wild how and he's a fighter, but I would throw that in the category of celebrities. It's crazy to me how many of these celebrities don't have anything set up. I went on a podcast, or excuse me, I didn't go on a podcast. I had the prenup guy, who's kind of the go-to guy for prenups and postnups online on my show. And, very niche topic. And it's crazy how you see some of these people. And look, I'm a child of divorce. I don't wish that on anyone. But it's crazy to me when you see celebrities go in just, I mean, they're kind of just raw dogging it. And they've got
What'd you say? What'd you
millions
say?
and raw dogging it.
I thought you said that.
They've got millions of dollars, in some cases, billions of dollars. And then it doesn't work out for whatever reason. It's yeah. I mean, does that blow your mind at
Well,
all?
here's the thing. You talk about prenups, but when you look at a living trust versus a prenup, it's hands down better to have a living trust because
I agree with that.
prenups can be broken. They can be shattered into a million pieces depending on the idiot judge that you get in front of,
Yeah.
especially in California.
Yeah.
But a living trust, that's rock solid.
Yeah.
You don't own
No,
anything. There's
Yeah,
nothing there's nothing to lose in a divorce.
yeah, I agree with that. I was just saying it's crazy how many people have none of it.
Yeah, no, I listen, if you're going to get married in America today, buddy, you better have a living trust or at the very least a prenup. And here's the funny thing too. Prenups, they make things awkward in the relationship. You have to bring it up to a girl and she's like, "Well, if you really loved me, you wouldn't ask me." I'm like, "Well, that's true, but I really want to have a prenup." And
Yeah,
and then you have that little dynamic that happens, which is never good. It
yeah,
either leads to a breakup or arguments or just bullshit.
yeah.
But a living trust, you don't have to bring it up at all. Say, listen, honey, I love you with all my heart. What is mine is yours. What's my trust is not mine.
Well, that's fair. That is fair. It's also I mean, you mentioned the prenup side of things too. Like I've seen this more.
By the way, shout out to all those that are happily married. I think 17% of all marriages.
Yeah, yeah. I'd like to say I am happily married, so I'm thankful for that. But it's one of those things where I notice this in like our athlete clients. It's not so much the prenup side of things, because I mean, what is a prenup, right? Like it's everything that happened before you're married. Well, a lot of these guys and gals, especially athletes, they make all their money after, I mean, after their winnings, right? So prenups are kind of useless in the grand scheme of things in that regard.
But a
I also
living trust. Oh, now we're talking turkey.
Yes, yes. But my point was I'm seeing postnups explode in popularity. Um, and those you could argue are a lot more rock solid than
No,
a prenup?
oh, then a prenup. Yeah, not
Yeah.
to a living trust.
No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm
By the
just saying,
way, have you been following Travis Hunter? He's going to be one of the top three picks in the draft this year. The kid out of Colorado.
yeah. So here's what's kind of interesting about like all these players because I've gotten
What
to
would you
know.
advise Travis, by the way, in his situation?
How would I?
No, what would you advise him to do? He's got the wacky fiance, right?
I have heard that. Yeah. So I don't know, Travis, full
By the
disclosure.
way, shout out to Kanye West's song Gold Digger.
Yeah. Yeah. I think and to be totally honest, I don't know a ton about his situation in that regard, but I was just going to say because I get to know a lot of these guys when they come into the league, or excuse me, after they're in the league, because that's when people send them my way. It's I honestly feel really bad for a lot of these guys too, because let's face it, I don't. Travis Hunter is obviously in the spotlight. He's objectively one of the most talented kids that are coming out of college. He could play both ways if he really wanted to. I don't
He
think he
already
will.
plays both ways. He will play both ways.
Yeah, I think he has the capability. I think if he was looking at it from a business decision, if he just locked in on one side of the ball and became a master, I think that would be better for his longevity. But my point is all of these guys, they come out of first off, they come out of college and they don't have a clue. Now, actually, let me take that back. They're coming out of high school and they don't really have a clue because now in college you can get paid. And you could argue some of these high schoolers are making money off YouTube. So my point is, it's like a lot of these guys, my heart breaks for them because I get it. They have no idea who to trust because their entire lives, everyone's been doing this to them. And so, for Travis, I mean, honestly, I would pray for him. That's the best thing I could do.
Yeah, I'd say that's the best thing anyone can do because sometimes when a girl has her hooks into someone,
Yeah.
all his friends can tell him that. The entire world can tell him that.
Yeah.
But his world, he's in love.
Yeah.
And he won't be able to listen to anybody give him advice because love sometimes blinds you.
Oh, for sure. Well, and then also think about this, right? So I have no idea how old you are. I told everyone I'm
Well, I
33.
turn 59 in about 12 days.
Yeah. Well, happy
Actually,
early
literally in
birthday.
12 days.
Yeah. Happy early birthday.
Holy
So,
fuck. And by the way, just so we're clear, I'm celebrating every day this month. So let's just take a moment for a quick second and just one round of happy birthday to me. Are ready? One, two, three. Sing it.
I am not singing
You
here,
are
man.
singing. Come on.
I'm not gonna sing. That's gonna break the mic. That's gonna break my camera. I don't have enough insurance to cover all this, man. But here's my thing. Here's my thing. So think about this seriously, right? And just yes or no, would it be safe to say that you're a totally different dude now than you were when you were 21?
Yeah, I lost all my fucking hair. What the fuck happened?
Okay, right. And so my point is most people that I've come in contact with, and most of my clients are older, but like they don't. I would safe. I think it'd be safe to say that you don't really start to figure yourself out until at the earliest 30. Okay, earliest.
I would say in men, it's probably even later than that.
Right, but
Women, I think women figure shit out a lot faster than men.
100% agree with that. But my point is, let's just say the earliest is 30. Okay, Travis is 21 or 20. Like he's still a kid, and so it's crazy the psychology of these athletes too, because it's not like you're golfing or you're playing tennis where like nothing's guaranteed
How
unless
old
you
is
get like
Travis Hunter?
how old? Yeah, look it up.
Travis Hunter is an American football player known for his rare ability to excel as both a cornerback and wide receiver. He played college football
All
at
right, give me the
Jackson.
short answer. I just want to know how old he is.
Race 20.
Travis Hunter is 21 years old.
Thank you,
Okay.
Sunshine.
Yeah. So here's the point, right?
By the way,
20
shout out to Grok. They got a
Yeah,
new app, and you literally can get to know it, and it can get to know you.
I know. It's crazy. But like, here's my point. He's 21 and
Did you?
Yeah, it's pretty.
you know, like I don't
Are
I
you
don't
hearing
In your
this?
pocket,
You hear this?
always learning more about you. What's your favorite thing to talk about with it?
Hey, do me a favor. Repeat what you just said so my friend can hear it.
Sure thing. Haha, thanks for the love. I'm blushing over here. And yeah, that mobile app is pretty cool, right? It's like having a chatty buddy in your pocket who's always learning more about you. What's your favorite thing to talk about with it?
All right, do me a favor. I'm in the middle of a podcast right now, so no more chit chat, okay?
Got it. I'll keep it quiet for now. If you need anything else for your podcast, just let me know.
I appreciate you. This shit's fucking amazing. It's just cracks me up.
Isn't it kind of crazy though?
It's I'm telling you, it's the craziest shit I've ever seen in my life. Like it just
Yeah.
blows my mind.
Yeah. No, it is wild. All I was gonna say is
Like
it's gonna be crazy how much different of a dude Travis is, or any of these kids are.
With it. Anything specific?
I'm literally gonna have to shut her down because she just keeps chiming in. She's like, all right,
Yeah,
we're done now. So like I literally have to close the app down because she keeps chiming in. She's like, I'm cracking up over here too.
I know.
I'm like, you're an AI. You're not laughing.
I know. I know. So it just, I don't know. I just feel bad for a lot of these guys that are gonna get sucked into a lot of stuff. And then they get to like 30 and they look back and they realize, like you and I can look back and go, man, there were a lot of things that we should have done differently. But most people have that second or third chance in their careers. You don't get that in the NFL or NBA.
Well, here's the thing. In the NFL, your life expectancy in the league is 3.3 years.
Mhm.
So yeah, they got one shot at it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And so frankly, that's your rookie contract. That is your thing.
Yep.
And now granted, he's gonna get, I mean, he'll get a huge signing bonus and he'll go first round somewhere. So like he's set.
Yeah,
But
but here's
once,
the thing. Everyone thinks that these players get huge signing bonuses. Even if he's the top pick, he only gets about an $18 million contract. And that's over 5 years, which isn't too bad. I mean, maybe if he's a quarterback, he gets 30, 40 million. And then he's got some side money from endorsements and stuff. But let's look at it and say he gets $20 million. NFL players are some of the highest taxed players other than NBA players, and partly because of the Michael Jordan rule. Not only do they pay taxes to the state that they live in, to the federal government, but when they fly and play in different cities, they have to
yep.
pay their taxes in addition to that city and state for playing in that city. And then
Mhm.
on top of it, they've got their agent fees. So on the average, the players that play, whatever contract number you see, they only see about 40% of that. And then they get stupid with about 39% of it. So they're literally down to 1% left.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
after they buy their Lambos and their women and their mom and everyone gets a new house, then at the end of the day, they got 1% of that contract left, and then they're wondering where the fuck did all my money go? Well, you drove a fucking Lambo, you retard.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you from experience, there's no middle ground in the fact that, and actually, I'm going to go as far to say most of these guys are way more responsible than people think. I think part of that is because now you can get paid in college. They're getting to learn this side of the industry earlier.
I actually think it's increasing, but it's not most. I've been to the Super Bowl for 11 years. I've been to the NFL draft and hosted it for the last couple of years with the agents and players kickoff luncheon. Here's the all access pass we did for the summer league.
Yeah,
Here's the one we
yeah.
did for last year at the NFL draft in Detroit. Here's another one with Harrison Jr. And I can
Oh
tell
yeah.
you right now, like Marvin Harrison Jr., great example. Him and his dad have totally fucked up his entire career. Not only did he not perform well in his first year, but he literally lost all the licensing revenue that he was going to get off of his jersey sales because he's fighting the league and doesn't want to be a part of that program. He probably left, no joke, $1 million or $1.5 million on the table just because he got bad advice from his father. And whatever his father's thinking about giving him that advice. And then he like he's trying to go back and renege on a deal with Fanatics because he signed a deal with Fanatics when he was I want to say junior in college, maybe sophomore, and it was for 4 years. And when he came out early, so he's got 2 years left that he owes Fanatics, but he's trying to say, no, that was my college contract. And they're like, no, it was a 4 year contract. And not now he's arguing with Fanatics, which, by the way, Fanatics can make you a ton of money if you fall in line and become part of their family. So he basically pissed off Michael Rubin, who basically owns the biggest sports, I want to say memorabilia and jersey company in the league or in the world. And why would you do that? You signed a contract. He gave you $2 million up front. You took the money, and now you want to back out of the contract when you're a pro. No, you signed a 4 year deal, not a college deal. You signed a 4 year deal.
Right. Right. No, here's my thing. I think and Marvin Harrison Jr. might be a really niche example because obviously his dad was in the league and objectively was great and may or may not have killed someone. but it's one of those things where that would be more of a circumstance where I don't know if that's his fault or whoever he's surrounding himself with.
Somebody's giving him bad advice. Like either he's giving himself bad advice and making stupid decisions, or he's listening to his dad who represents him.
But my point is, I think a lot of these guys, at least the ones that I've talked to, okay, the ones that I've talked to, this is what I respect the heck out of NBA players and NFL players, okay? The ones that have come to me are very upfront on the fact that they know what they don't know, which I think is a big deal, especially because these guys, admittedly, have huge egos, rightfully so, because they're freakishly talented at something that you and I simply could never begin to imagine. So at that, they've been told their whole lives that they're great, and they've backed it up with the skill. And because they've gotten to this stage in their life where their work ethic alone can like get them there, and then they can kind of get through the rest of the castle probably easier than most. It's a huge deal for them to admit that they don't know what they don't know. And they're willing to learn. That's the one thing. The guys that make it to the guys that the difference between the ones that make it to the league, whatever league we're talking about, and the ones that fizzle out is it's actually a microcosm of life. They never stop learning, and they're okay knowing that they don't know, and they're very humbled by it. Because most of these guys too are terrified.
This is one of the smartest players I've ever met in my lifetime, Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
He represents himself, and he literally signed the largest NBA. Well, at the time, I think it was the largest NBA contract.
Yeah. Well, that's something that's really fascinating too. I don't really work with a lot of agents in the league, but you see guys like um, Lamar Jackson. So Lamar Jackson, I think his mom is his agent, or like he represents himself. So that's one side of the coin. And so you're seeing a huge push in these guys doing it on their own. Fine. On the other side, Jalen Hurts' agent, I mean, she is a rock star. Now, granted, he's obviously very talented, so he's earned that. But that's something that I've actually been trying to get like an awesome agent on our podcast to talk about what the future of sports agency looks like, because it's this huge
Are
mixed
you
bag.
coming to the summit?
No. I'm not. I'm trying this year. The last couple of years have actually they've been phenomenal for me professionally, but there's been a lot of stuff just, I don't want to say mentally, but just personally, I've just been absolutely worn down. And so I told myself in 2025, this is the year where I focus more on myself instead of in myself, if that makes sense. I want to be it's not that I'm not, but an even more present father to my daughter, who's 2. Same with my wife.
She's
Like
two.
I'm
She
having,
barely speaks English.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. But for me, my thing is just this is the year where I take a step back and reassess some things and reevaluate before I just go and because last couple of years, man, I know we just met, but like whether it's been the books, the podcast, the business has grown, the brand has grown. It's like, no, you know what? This is going to be a year where like I actually appreciate what I have. And not to get personal, but like some of our uh, best clients, not necessarily as far as size, but just like our first that trusted me before anyone. And even some of my good friends. I mean, like one of our really good friends of ours, who's one of our pastors, was diagnosed with stage 4 brain cancer. And he's got 2 girls that are my daughter's age, and he's about my age. And you think about that, you're like, dude, he's never going to see his kids grow up. Like it
That's
just
for sure.
reminds you of how to value your time. And, of course, I'm going to get back out there, but, and I'm a man of faith. I know you're a man of faith as well. It's one of those things where I've told myself, you know what? This is maybe God's way of saying, I need to just hit pause on the side quests in life and just be here.
So do you do a lot of stuff with Bitcoin? Do you advise your clients about Bitcoin?
So by the way, I am not against nor for any type of cryptocurrency. Um, I personally have stayed away from it. And it's not because I'm against it. It's just, it's been too hard of a, how do I say this? One of my favorite investors, his name is Monish Pabrai, been around for a while. And he has in his office 3 piles. He has the absolutely not, I'll look at it later, and then too hard. And too hard basically means that there are too many possibilities and factors in play that he just simply can't find an easier answer to. And for me, cryptocurrency as a whole falls into that. Again, I'm not against it at all.
Wait a second.
Uh,
You think cryptocurrency is too hard or too difficult?
yeah, there's a lot of answers that are way too difficult to answer.
Like what?
Well, what are the odds that you're going to be right?
I mean, Bitcoin for 14 years has gone up every single year except 2. It's been the best performing asset for the last 12 years in the world.
Okay. But what makes you think that can continue to happen?
It's very simple. It's the most mathematically complete form of money. Unlike US dollars or any other fiat, there's no more printing of dollars to devaluate the value of the currency.
Okay.
In fact, the fact that people keep losing their private keys and can't access their wallet means that the diminishing supply will always create value for the future people.
So here's my question. What would be the odds of another type of cryptocurrency eventually coming and replacing Bitcoin? Again, I'm not against any of
Yeah,
this.
I mean, there could be, but at the end of the day, in the 14 years Bitcoin's been around, I think there's been 20,000 attempts at another currency, and
Right.
Bitcoin is the most secure of them all. And I think security is one of the key elements when you have a currency. It has to be secure and it has to be private and it has to be portable.
Yeah, that's totally fair. So for you then, I'm curious then, because as far as crypto, because I know you mentioned, I can't remember if it was before we got on this or not, because you own some real estate, right? From a crypto stand, like what's your take on it?
It's actually funny. I have a call scheduled in about 2 hours. I'm taking $64 million and doing a real estate deal with Bitcoin where the holders of the Bitcoin can borrow against that Bitcoin at 8% and are getting paid 12% on investing that into a real estate project with a company called Golf Suites. And they literally
Okay.
make like these big, massive golf, like almost like top golf environments.
So it's basically like a line of credit, but off of your cryptocurrency, like
Yeah, I
portfolio.
mean, I wouldn't call it a line of credit. It's actually, yeah, it's financing. You're borrowing against
Yeah,
your
yeah,
asset, which in this case is Bitcoin, and then you're
yeah,
borrowing at 8%, investing that into something that gives you 12%. The nice thing is the 4% difference can be automatically invested in additional Bitcoin. So while you're holding Bitcoin and getting the 4%, you're actually increasing the amount of Bitcoin you're holding.
sure. Well, it's like, yeah, I mean, that's in our book, we talk about that capitalizing the spread. If you take an 8% to go turn around and make 12, you earn four. That's great. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
It's
and I
just,
mean,
it's
you
just kind
can't
of,
do that with US dollars. I mean, you probably could do it if there was demand for them, but there's not.
are you talking as, well, oh, as far as like the dollar, as far as like the currency itself, you couldn't go
Yeah,
and do
the
that.
currency of the
Yeah,
US dollar. Like if I have
yeah,
$1 million in the bank, I could borrow against it, but if I invest those dollars, I'm only going to get the 12%.
yeah, I get what you're
Bitcoin
saying.
has lower threat. There's more demand for Bitcoin, so the ability to borrow against it is more, you get a better rate.
Yeah. Well, my whole thing with cryptocurrency in general is, and maybe I'm old school with it, but I I'm a firm believer in investing in quality businesses. And the reason for that is it doesn't matter what currency there is out there. If there is whether it's in no particular order, Bitcoin, Ethereum, dollar, pound, yen, whatever the case is, if there is a demand for a quality business, people will somehow, some way find a demand for that. Um, and I mean, I went on this show, God, this was 2 years, 3 years ago. And immediately I'm like, okay, I'm walking into like the lion's den here because they were it was more cultish of a cryptocurrency call or podcast than anything. I forget what it was. So immediately I'm like, okay, I don't even know why I don't even know why I'm voicing my opinion because like they're already trying to like balk against it. Because again, I'm not against it at all.
I mean,
Like,
I'll be honest with you. In the last couple of years, it's become more obvious to me, and it should to everyone, that the banking system in America is inherently failing. I don't think people realize how bad it's failing. And if we keep running our deficit the way that we've been running it, and we keep using QE and money printing to print out dollars to solve all of our problems, and we keep letting politicians money launder money, that's going to ultimately destroy the US dollar and the US economy. In fact, it may be at a point of no return now unless we do some dramatic things. Like what we're looking at as a country right now is very scary. And people say, "Oh, well, my money's insured in the bank." Really? Really? FDIC has $124 billion. They had about 300 billion, but last year we had more bank failures than ever. They have $124 billion to insure $73 trillion in deposits. Figure the math out.
yeah,
If you're the last one pulling your money out, trust me, you're not insured. There's
yeah,
not enough money to insure the money that's on deposit.
yeah.
And by
No,
the
I
way, what we learned last year from FDIC when they bailed out all the bank holders of Silicon Valley Bank is they're willing to change the rules for political donors. All those donors got made whole when in reality they should have only had their first 250,000 made whole because
Yeah.
that's what FDIC insures. So
Yeah.
the people
Yeah.
that had $5 million in that bank, they were supposed to only get 250,000. But FDIC said, well, you know what? You donate to the Democrat Party, so we'll make you completely whole. Well,
Yeah.
guess what? They better do that for every American because guess what? That was changing the rules on the fly.
Sure. Well, it's interesting you bring that up too. So there's an investor, I don't know him personally, Francois, kind of blanking on his last name, but he has a fund that he's managed forever and he's done very, very well. And we're talking billions and billions and billions of dollars. And most of these guys, like even look at like Warren Buffett, right? Like he always likes to have 10-ish% of his portfolio in cash or cash equivalencies.
A lot higher now. I want to
Yeah.
say he's got a significant amount.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, in not including like bonds, okay? Because he's got about 30% right now in his portfolio. But the point is, ideally 5 to 10%, okay? And that's kind of been a rule of thumb for a lot of these super investors out there. Well, Francois, it's funny because he keeps basically no cash other than like $250,000. And I had my friend ask him, I'm like, why? And he's like, well, because that's what's insured. And I just always thought it was really funny. And his whole thought process is it's actually less risky of owning these businesses versus having cash just sitting in the bank.
That's so true.
And I'm like, and I remember listening to this 3 years ago. I was like, can't argue it. Because a lot of people unfortunately totally misunderstand the concept of risk.
Well, think about this for a second. I play poker, and a couple of years ago, I tried to go to my bank, and I was going to play in a cash poker game, and I needed a significant amount of cash. The amount of forms that I had to fill out to get cash out of my bank account, and the fact that they made me wait 6 days for them to order the cash because they told me flat out, we don't have any more than 10 or 20 grand cash on hand any given day.
Yeah.
When you have to literally beg for your own money to be used for whatever you want, and I had to like literally explain, I'm going to play poker at the casino.
Yeah.
Like, seems like a large amount of cash to be playing poker. I'm like, well, some games are more expensive.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I thought to myself, that was a prime example. Now, here's something that people don't know. When Biden took office, his first day, one of his executive orders was, when you deposit money in a bank these days, whose money is that, by the way?
Are you asking me or I didn't
I'm asking you.
Well, in theory, it's yours.
Well, actually, not even in theory anymore. Banks used to have what are called custodial accounts. Do you know what that means?
Yeah.
That means your account was in their bank, but it was yours, and they were just the custodian of it.
Right.
They did away with that on the first day that Biden was in office. Now, when you deposit money, you're actually giving it to the bank, and the bank gives you an IOU. And if the bank fails, you don't have any recourse. In fact, if you want to get all your money out of the bank can actually deny you of that because it's technically their money. Interesting, huh? And most people don't even know this happened. Most people are clueless that this happened.
Yeah.
Bank accounts in America are no longer custodial.
No, I did hear that. Well, and I will say, I mean, because even though we have different flavors of maybe thinking of things, like it still aligns in the same token. It's crazy to me how many people, financially speaking, are not doing everything in their power to get ahead, but not to get ahead just to get ahead, to like have levers to pull if something actually happens. Like for you, I don't know your life story. I know we just met, okay? But I can tell you getting to 59 and being able to do what you're doing, whether it's commercial real estate or business or whatever, or poker, you've been planning a lot of this stuff for a while. And who knows, you may have been lucky, but I doubt it. Most people, that you've worked hard to compound.
Well, I did win the lottery 3 years ago.
Well, that helps. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just kidding. I didn't win the lottery.
Yeah, yeah. So, but it's one of
Even,
those.
by the way, even the lottery is such a scam, by the way. And I think people would benefit by knowing this. If you have a living trust and you win the lottery,
Mhm.
you're better off claiming the ticket for your living trust than you are by yourself.
Oh, for sure.
You know
Yeah,
why, right?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Because they tax you on an insane amount.
It's
Like
like half.
they, huh? Oh,
It's like half.
in some states. Well, so that's the state tax. In some places, they charge you a city tax on top of the lottery. Also, in
Yeah,
Chicago, they take almost 60% of the winnings from the people. So if you win
yeah,
$1 million, you walk out of there with like 400 grand.
yeah.
But but your living trust doesn't pay taxes till you die.
Right, right.
It's my living trust's lottery ticket. I'm just the executor of the trust. I'm here to claim his winning ticket.
Yeah, yeah. I get it, man. Well, and actually, you should look this up. One of my buddies, he actually came on our show late last year, and he's the founder of GetDynasty.com.
What's that?
And it's a company online where it's basically the only company out there where you can get trust formation and everything set up without an attorney supervision. And there's a lot more to it than that.
I mean, you can. I set up a living trust for myself. I tell people all the time, just it's easy to do. Probably the easiest legal document you'll ever fill out.
Yeah, well, they also do irrevocables as well. They do a multitude of things, and it's
Well, I
AI.
don't know what a irrevocable living trust is versus a revocable one, but either way, getting a living trust, whether it's revocable or irrevocable, I don't know what the big difference is there. I gotta learn that, but
Yeah,
I would say at the very least, that's what. Why do you think they have the term trust fund babies? Rich
right.
people, when their babies are born, they set up a living trust where they're the beneficiary, so that when they turn 18, all that money that they put into their trust tax free is compounded to the point where they're multimillionaires.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I look, I get it. You should look up getdynasty.com though.
I will.
It's pretty awesome. Well, then you think of like trusts and all that. Because if you're gonna set up a trust, I'm not giving legal advice here, but like the two states,
Go ahead, give some legal advice.
yeah. Well, yeah, but unlike you, man, I'm a regulated dude. So I try to cross my T's and dot my I's, but I can tell you you've got Nevada, because you can set
Nevada's
up
great.
Nevada's great. You can set up a dynasty trust, and I think
Wyoming's good. So is
actually,
New Mexico, surprisingly.
you know where the best one is?
Where?
South Dakota.
Why?
It's the only state where there's no termination on dynasty trusts.
Okay, I don't know what a dynasty trust is. Is that a living
Yeah.
trust?
Mm-hmm. So you set it up, right? So let's say like pick your billionaire, okay? Chances are, even if you set up a trust for like 100 years, okay? If you're a billionaire, it's gonna outlast that. Nevada, you can set up these trusts, but it ends in 365 years. But South Dakota is the only state in the United States where you can set up these dynasty trusts, and there's no end. So if you look up like,
Yeah, I learned something new today. I fucking love this show.
yeah, so if you look up like, and again, politics aside, Bezos, Gates, Elon, I can almost bank that all of them have some type of property somewhere in South Dakota, so they can open up this dynasty trust and have it
Well, you
for,
don't need property to have a trust there, do you?
I believe you do.
No,
Um,
I can open up a living trust anywhere. It doesn't. I don't have to live there. I don't even have to have anything there.
no, but I'm talking purely for dynasty trusts.
Maybe.
Yeah,
I'm gonna look that up. I find that to be an interesting research point.
yeah. But South Dakota, you can get away with a lot when it comes to taxes. I will say Wyoming is great as well, but I wouldn't necessarily hire an attorney from Wyoming because it's the only state where you don't have to pass the bar. So,
Well, I
there's
mean,
that.
you just need them to set up, be an agent for the corporation. So I mean,
Yeah. I'm just saying and it's a slightly different
that's the
conversation.
lowest form of legal service you'll ever get, is being an
Yeah.
agent for a corporation.
Yeah. No, I hear you. But no, that's what's fun about having these conversations. You just chop it up and you never know, you may learn something. Or you may not.
If I mean, you only learn if you're feeding your brain. People always talk about, hey, what are you putting into your body? What are you putting in your body? What are you putting in your body? I always tell people, what are you putting into the noodle? What are you putting into the brain? What do you feed yourself daily? Some
Yeah.
people go, oh, I don't need to learn anymore. I don't need to read that book. I already know all that. Well, yeah, listen, buddy, unless you're feeding the brain, it's going to turn into mush. It's going to turn into oatmeal.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so I'm curious, Chris, what's your end game?
I mean, don't make this wrong. All of our end game is that we go to heaven or die, or, death is the end game for all of us.
No, of course. No, of course. I get that. But like for you, like with your show and in your brand and in these conversations, like I'm just curious.
I think that in the first of all, last year, I think we saw more than ever before in the history of mankind that podcasting is the best long format advertising unit you can do to let people get to know about you, your brand, your product, your business, your mission, whatever it is. And I've done over 2,000 interviews. And at the end of the day, you look at what happened in the election last year. Trump did over 100 long format interviews. Kamala did 3.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, for the first time, a Republican won the popular vote. Well, the reason why the popular vote was his was because people got a chance to know him. They got a chance to listen to him talk for an hour, answer every question, let his personality shine. At the end of the day, that's what podcasting does. In fact, 5 years ago, there were less than 200,000 podcasts. Today, there's a shade under 4 million. There's one report that I saw that over the next 5 years, we're going to see 40 million podcasts. Everyone's going to have a podcast. Single mom is going to have a podcast talking about her life, doing interviews. And podcasting is the best way to really spend time and get to know people. I call it chopping it up. At the end of the day, if you can carve out an hour with somebody, get to know them, and then share that interview with people online, not only do I get to know you, and not only do you get to know me, but people get to know both of us. And at the end of the day, I tell people right now, every single day, if you're not doing a podcast, you're going to fall behind, dramatically behind, by everyone else that is.
I totally agree with that.
Chris, the more you agree with me, the more I'm going to like you.
Yeah. I think it's because we have the same name.
It could be. It could be. All right.
Yeah.
So I like to end all good podcasts with one thing. I want you to give people something inspirational, something that will get them over their fear in life. Could be anything, but talk to them about doing something with their life, moving forward.
Oh boy. All right. So for those of you that are at this point where you feel like you're not quite fill in the blank, fast enough, smart enough, wise enough, quick enough, you name it. I can guarantee you I have been there. I was not the brightest student in the world. I wasn't the worst, but I definitely wasn't the brightest. Wasn't the best looking. Wasn't the fastest, wasn't the strongest. I can tell you I have no relationship with my father anymore. He degraded me left and right. My first 2 jobs at these wealth management firms, these large firms, both of my managers before I left said, you're probably just never going to cut it in this industry. I tell you all of this because
I'll be honest with you, they did you a favor. Like you're proving them wrong every single day.
Well, so what I did is I still have the list. I wrote down every name of every person that has ever said, no, you can't, you won't, laughed at me. And I look at that every single morning. And you fast forward, I'm super blessed to have everything that I have. Yeah, a lot of our fans will go, whoa, like, here's Chris. He's got this podcast, 2-time best-selling author. He speaks overseas, 150 million, like all of these things that sound really, really cool.
So
I
what's your
started
what's
at
your
play.
inspirational advice? What would you tell people? How do you get them off their ass?
If you want my life, it's very easy to do. And you know what the answer is, and you just need to get up and do it.
All right. Just got to do it. Bo Jackson, Bo knows.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And by the way, that's the worst example. You could not inject enough testosterone into both my butt cheeks to have the God-given ability that he has or
Yeah.
had. Actually, no, still has. I mean, the guy's still a genetic freak.
No, actually, he's having a rough time. He's got horrible hips. He has a hard time walking. Yeah, he's had degenerative hips.
Oh, well, I haven't seen him in I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know him.
no, he's physically a wreck right now. I saw him at
Okay.
the Super Bowl a couple years ago, and yeah, he's having a tough time. That's why you don't see him around too often. He's
Yeah.
just physically, and a lot of football players go through post-life medical and health issues that are disabling. It really like you shake hands with some former football, not some, almost all of them, and you literally see arthritis. You see broken fingers. You see fingers going different. Heck, Ronnie Lottie cut his finger off. Like he cut it off during a playoff game. Said, "Listen, doc, just cut it off. I want to go back out there and play," because he
Yeah.
broke his finger so badly.
Yeah. No, and it's sad, man. And also like athletes and owners of like businesses or executives or people that are committed to their craft. That's one thing also too I've been speaking about a lot on my shows. You don't think about like that next chapter. And you've really got to think about it, especially as an athlete, because your identity is wrapped up to it and people are more than that, you know? But it's easy for you and I to say this.
Yeah, no, trust me. Chris, I've enjoyed chopping it up with you. We should do this again sometime soon. I got to jump on another podcast, but like I said, let's chop it up again sometime soon.
Awesome, man. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you.